Yeah, what's up, good people? It's African Traveler again. So today I'm not going to take you around the city. I'm just going to give you. It's going to be a discussion about matters pertaining Africa as a continent. I want to be doing this on and off, and just to discuss matters affecting Africans in the continent. It will be different topic each and every time that we discuss. So today the question is Africa ready for full integration? So what exists right now is the president, after the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that was agreed in Kigali 2018, where African leaders came to agree that we should have free movement of goods and services among countries in Africa. It was a good stepping stone in achieving like a full integration to a standard where Africa can cooperate or work together as countries like Europe or United States, where you can just move from one country to the other. So we have to appreciate that it's a good step towards a good direction, because end of the day Africa is one, and we should always work to be one as Africans. Now, the thing is, if you check Africa right now, it's the least continent it's the least continent on earth that trades amongst itself. Now, what do I mean by this? Now, if you check countries like countries in Europe and Asia or America, it's totally different. The percentage of business that runs around Asia, amongst Asian countries, the continent Asia, the trade that are around in Asia is 59% is within themselves. So this is if you consider out of 100%, so 59% is is the amount of business they trade amongst themselves. In Europe is even higher, it's around 69% that they trade amongst themselves. In Africa is less than 20, which is really sad. It's around 17% by 2018. Now, there are so many factors that lead to the reason why Africa does not really trade amongst itself, and some of it is most of countries are still pegged to the colonial masters, whereby you find countries which were previously colonized by British, countries which were previously colonized by Germany, or countries which were previously colonized by French, still associate themselves more with the colonial masters, more than the other countries in the continent. So that is one. Number two is having to produce the same kind of products. Like in East Africa, I would say, for example, we all produce tea, we all produce milk, we all produce, flowers. We almost do, most of the parties, we almost do the same thing. So it's very hard for us to trade amongst ourselves. And the other part, the third point would be bad blood amongst countries. There's so many countries in Africa that are not in good relationship. They don't even talk to each other. They don't even visit. It's a sad affair that we are in such a scenario whereby, 2 or 3 leaders don't agree, and the whole country means that the whole country doesn't agree. If you find a leader from this country is mad with the leader from this country, they affect the relationship of the whole country, which is sad, because the people are bigger. The country is bigger than any person. Okay? Now, our leaders went ahead. They signed the agreement. Nigeria and South Africa signed later, especially Nigeria, which is a good boost. These countries are the key drivers of African economy. They have big population, big economy. So it was a boost to push for the integration of African movement of goods and services among African countries, which is a very good. But the other part is the free movement of people goods and services, which is still essential, that is really needed. People. You cannot say free movement of goods and services if people cannot easily move. If I check what one time Dangote said he needs 38 visas to visit Africa, the continent of Africa. You just need 38 visas. When you go to countries like Europe, you need the Schengen visa, or if you go to America, you just need the American visa and you visit all the states. And it makes it easier. So it's important to know for our leaders to realize what the importance of this. You know, in Africa, you find a country like, and it's several countries across Africa, but I'll use one as an example, and this is South Africa. South Africa has only 15 countries from Africa that have visa-free to go to South Africa. The same country has 28 visa-free for European countries. And I can tell you for sure it's not the case in Europe, or it's not the case in America. You'll not find the American countries giving more priority to another countries from another continent than its own. And I don't blame South Africa, because free movement of people, of goods and services, or people, to do business does not mean migration. Because end of the day, everyone would wish to have free movement of people, free movement of goods and services, but doesn't mean to choke one country. Doesn't mean that right now that we have opened our borders, we have 20 million people coming in because my country is doing better than the other. That is not. It's just to make it easier for people from different countries to work and create jobs. So what I'm trying to say is free movement of goods and services and people does not mean migration. And to try and avert this, what our leaders should work to ensure is, especially when we meet in Ethiopia, is to ensure that the countries that are struggling with poor leadership are really helped. Countries like South Sudan, country like Somalia, Congo, they should really ensure that this country get the best leadership. They can't be meeting in Ethiopia AU offices and discuss, what to do, how to improve business, if you don't touch on the key things. No matter how much Zimbabwe economy is suffering in terms of inflation, South Africa will feel the impact. They have no choice unless the leaders from South Africa work to ensure Zimbabwe is okay. Kenyans will not have peace until Somalia has peace. You can't struggle when your neighbor is suffering. No, this is a situation like real brothers and sisters. You can't live a lavish life and your sister is suffering and you think you're happy. You have to make him stable first before you enjoy, And that is the African brotherhood. That's the African spirit. Because what is happening in South Africa, the xenophobia, it's not new. Because people are migrating from one country to the other. It's not good for the economy of the other country. The other country need business investors to create jobs, but not economic migrants who are looking for jobs. Unless the economy can handle the migrants, like in other nations, they can. There are other jobs that are very hard to come by. So we have well-to-do nations that can take in as much migrant as possible because the economy can take this, can handle it. But most African countries can't. And that is why you will find people on the lower ground, on the bottom of the pyramid, always causing. It happened before in 1983 in Nigeria, where Nigerians said Ghanaian must go. Because guys are coming to your country. They're taking the same jobs that the normal people would have done. And end of the day, it creates animosity. And it will happen again and again until African leaders know the importance of brotherhood. If Zimbabwe used to do very well in the 80s, 90s, until what happened with the West, until the Mugabe said the whites should go back to their own country. And that is when the sanction came in. But as African leaders, they can decide on how to support Zimbabwe. The economic, the political instability in Somalia should be the sole job for Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, to make it stable. Otherwise, the region will not be stable. So, yeah, please feel free to share your own opinion down there in the comment description box. Should I continue with this? Should I stop? Yeah, so it's just my 2 cents. Have a lovely Sunday.